Dome with Sports Talk Worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, it's going to be a weekend of boxing, big weekend of boxing. Boxing happening all over the place. Pretty significant fights. Biggest one to me is Alexander Usyk versus Derek Chisora. Many could argue Gervonta Tank Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz. I just think that's going to be one-way traffic. But, I'm going to watch it to see, I'm going to be going for Santa Cruz to at least be competitive in that fight, right? But I think Tank Davis is going to take him out. And I personally would like Tank Davis to fight my man Gamboa again when Gamboa is healthy. It's an older guy. I think if he was healthy, he would give Gervonta Tank Davis a pretty good fight. But he's about to fight Devin Haney. So, I'm not hyped about it, but that's going to be a good fight too, while it lasts, right? But, well, some interesting news from the WBC. We've been seeing it in boxing lately. The WBC is just acting up and just really making boxing, making a mockery of the sport, really, with all these belts. The last one was called a Black Lives Matter belt for Roy Jones and Mike Tyson, which they don't need a belt. It was an exhibition, isn't it? So it's a little bit stuff. And, we know about the franchise belt and some of the explanations. I told you it's excruciating. It's really, you cringe when you hear the president trying to explain what he means by the franchise title. It's just he's making a mockery, not of boxing, but of himself, to be honest with you, because everybody else is starting to pay attention to what's really going on. But the WBC is not finished. They said that, something, we need another division in the sport. But we don't want to make a super heavyweight championship. We want to make a super cruiserweight. So those heavyweights that are small from 200 pounds to 220, and they got to fight guys 250 pounds, right? That's not really fair, but it is what it is. It's been going through history, but it's not been as much as lately because the heavyweights have really gotten big, all of them, 250, the Anthony Joshua's, Gerald Washington's, Dominic Breazeale's, Tyson Fury's, pretty much everybody is over 220. 230, 240, 250 actually. Luis Ortiz, all of them, right? And some of the smaller heavyweights, have to fight these guys, no matter what your weight is. So, bottom line, I was hearing Tony Bellew say, what fight I would like to see is if they make that new belt, I would like to see Alexander Usyk versus Deontay Wilder for the first super cruiserweight title. And, it's not a bad choice because Deontay Wilder said he'll fight Alexander Usyk when it was under 200 pounds. Matter of fact, he didn't want Usyk to come up to heavyweight. He said he'd come down. So, I don't have anything against that fight. It wouldn't be a bad fight, But he also said that Usyk won't be able to compete with the monsters of the heavyweight division. This is Tony Bellew. Usyk beat him. Has total props for Usyk, but he thinks those real big guys, the Anthony Joshua's, Tyson Fury's of the world, are a little bit too big and massive for your boy Usyk. He doesn't think he'll be able to deal with them. Now, very interesting stuff, right? Because I don't have nothing. If y'all make another belt, it's cool, right? Because some of those small heavyweights, could mess around and become 2 division champs now, or if they didn't go, or if they was in cruiserweight before, 3 division champs now. You know what I mean? And whatever, we can't complain because down in them lower divisions, people move 4 pounds. It's a different division. 6 pounds. These guys got to move a whole lot of pounds. But here's my thing. For people that would want to have it, right, then you better be a Deontay Wilder fan, right? Because if you're not going to want to have that weight division, another weight division, and saying it's unfair. And you're hearing of Tony Bellew even saying that Alexander Usyk wouldn't be able to deal with these guys because they're too big. Because Deontay Wilder's been doing a whole lot of dealing with these guys. You know what I'm saying? With bigger guys. Bemain Severn was 25 pounds heavier than Deontay Wilder. Duhaupas was 8 pounds heavier. Gerald Washington was 70 pounds heavier. Tyson Fury was 42 pounds heavier. In the second fight, 44. Or vice versa. But it was over 40 pounds heavier than in both fights. Chris Arreola was 20 pounds heavier. Eric Molina, 10 pounds heavier. Even Arthur Spilka was 10 pounds heavier. Bemain Severn in the second fight was 34 pounds heavier. Ortiz in the second fight was 17 pounds heavier. In the first fight, 26 pounds heavier. Dominic Breazeale, 32 pounds heavier. Right? I'm just saying. So when you're looking at all those guys, this is the last 12 fights. I didn't want to go before those fights because then the fights, you people call them before that, well, they were bums or they were nobody. Nobody in this list you can really call bums. You know what I'm saying? Nobody in this list you can call bums because these guys have done something before they fought Wilder or after, right? And so that's an average of 24 pounds. That's an average of 24 pounds lighter than your opponent, and in fights that are hard. So my point is, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to give Deontay Wilder props. His legacy grows. You know, because this weight division, you're talking about guys like Mike Tyson, you know, that sometimes before he got up there in weight, Evander Holyfield, Herbie Hyde, those little guys who would have had a division like that, who I would say was definitely had at least been 3 division champions then. Because Herbie Hyde or the Evander Holyfield, for sure. You see what I'm saying? And so, but also a Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder has a lot of haters, people who don't acknowledge what you see. And I'm like looking at this the whole time. I'm like, I don't care what other people are saying or whatever. This guy's smaller than these guys, a lot less. But he's also knocking them out. I don't think that people knock people out at an average of 24 pounds. You knock them out. You can run from those guys and use your reach and stay out of harm's way and all that stuff. Use your legs and all that. But to be, you know, knocking these guys out, and sometimes one-punch knockouts, and even here's something else, too, about Wilder opponents. Sergey Laokovic. Sergey, the one who was convulsing on the ground, we call him a bum all the time. You know, well, anybody could have beat him at that stage. Well, listen, 2 fights after Sergey Laokovic was convulsing on the ground, shaking after Deontay Wilder knocked him out. Well, 2 fights after that, he took Andy Ruiz Jr., yes, the one who beat Anthony Joshua, took him to 12 rounds. He lost the unanimous decision, but he took him 12 rounds. That's after Deontay Wilder. You know, before that, he beat a Brewster, Lamont Brewster. Yes, the Lamont Brewster who beat Vladimir Klitschko. And he had a run after he beat Lamont Brewster, you know what I'm saying? But he lost his good guys, Robert Helenius, Nicky Ovalev, Shannon Briggs, stuff like that. But, you know, when you do beat a Lamont Brewster, you beat a Dominic Gunn and all them guys, you're not that much of a bum. And you were WBO champion by beating Lamont Brewster. And right after, think about that, Brewster just beat Vladimir Klitschko and Andre Galota, right? And then he loses to this guy. So I'm just saying, you know, we call him bums because Deontay Wilder beat him, you know what I mean? So, hey, that's what I'm saying. So a lot of this stuff, you know, a lot of this stuff that's going on with this new weight division. If we want to have a new weight division, it's all good. But listen, for you, I'm saying for those smaller heavyweights, and Deontay Wilder is one of them the whole time, fighting at 209, 212, and stuff like that against these big old guys and knocking them out. It makes that a little bit more awesome. So ask yourself now, do we want a new weight division? Because once we do that, I know I am, and pretty much a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, Deontay Wilder is awesome for being able to knock out people that are that much heavier than him, because throughout history there's only a few guys that were doing that, and you could probably count them on one hand. So that is pretty cool news. I don't want it. I'm an older guy. I don't like change. You know what I'm saying? All change, you know, change is change. Doesn't mean it's better. Something that's new is new. Doesn't mean it's better. You know, sometimes you got to ask yourself, do we need that or do you need that? So I don't think we need that necessarily, but if you're going to have it, right, especially the WBC, you had Deontay Wilder there the whole time, right? And they're not thinking about this because of Deontay Wilder. It's other fighters, but I ain't going to mention them, but it's other fighters. But his bottom line is, if it's done, then wow, we might have a three division champ up there with skinny old legs. Doma Sports Talk, worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.